Namaste, हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया. I am JVWU Dr. Lily Trivedi and today I am going to take the lecture of BSCBED-ZBC 4th semester Ecology, Anatomy and Evolution. And the topic today is biodiversity, types and characteristics. So we have studied in the previous lecture what is biodiversity. Biodiversity refers to the variety and variability among all group of living organisms in which they occur. So now come to the types of biodiversity. Now before that we have the levels of biodiversity. The biodiversity ranges from genetic level to species level and may also have a great biodiversity in different biomes. So first we will discuss what is genetic biodiversity. So genes are found in organisms and can form number of enormous combinations, and these give rise to variability. So as we say, genes are the basic hereditary units of hereditary transmission, information transmission from one generation to another. So when the genes of within the same species show different combinations, there is genetic variability. How? Let's take an example. The rice of all varieties belong to the species Oryza sativa. But we have thousands of wild and cultivated varieties of rice. There is variation at the genetic level in the difference in the color, shape, size, aroma, and also the nutrient content of the grain. Now this is the genetic diversity of rice. Now let's come to what is species diversity. When the variability is found within population of a species or different species of a community, it is called species diversity. It represents the species richness and their abundance in the community. We have the indices to measure species diversity, and they are known as Simpson Index or Shannon-Weiner Index. So what is the number of species in this biosphere? Now, more than 1.5 million living beings and 3,000 lakh and above fossil species have been described, and there may be many more which are yet to be discovered. After species diversity, there is ecosystem diversity. Now, the different ecosystem complexes show variation in the trophic structure, food web, nutrient cycling, etc. They are also different in the respect to physical parameters, and there is tremendous diversity within the ecosystem. For example, there is a temperature difference, the diversity will be different. For an ecosystem which is mainly dominance of trees, in forest ecosystem, whereas in tropical rainforest, tropical deciduous forest, tropical temperate deciduous forest, and arboreal forest. So these are all forest only, but we have, due to physical factors variations, the ecosystem here is much different. We also have coniferous trees which cannot take up the function of trees of tropical deciduous forest and vice versa. So we have a diversity among different ecosystems. Then we come to the biogeographical classification. In respect to India, as already discussed, there is phytogeography and zoogeography, which deals with these aspects of plant and animals in the different regions of our country. Now, India is divided into 10 biogeographical zones. Each zone has its own characteristic climate, soil, topography, and biodiversity. So the first zone is the Trans-Himalayan, which is upper region. Then we have the Himalayan region, that is Northwest Himalayas, West, Central, and East Himalayas. Then we have the desert region, which includes the Kutch, the Thar, and the Ladakh desert. After this, we have the semi-arid region, which is the central India and the Gujarat or Rajwara region. The Western Ghats are there, which include the Malabar coast and the Western Ghat mountains. Then the Deccan Peninsula consists of the South Deccan Plateau, the Central Plateau, the Eastern Plateau, the Chota Nagpur and the Central Highlands. The Gangetic Plains have the upper and the lower Gangetic Plains. The Northeast India has the Brahmaputra Valley in the northeastern hills. The islands are Andaman Nicobar Islands and the Lakshadweep Islands. And the coast include the west coast and the east coast. So this is the levels of biodiversity, and now we also have the global biodiversity. What is global biodiversity? Now global biodiversity means the diversity which is at the level of the whole globe. So that is terrestrial. It refers to the planet. In this we have the different biomes, that is the largest ecological units. And for example, the tropical rainforest, the tall grass prairies, the savanna, the deserts and the tundra region. So the different geographical areas are named after the dominant vegetation. The tropical rainforest has millions of species of plants, birds, amphibians, insects, mammals. And many of these species are developed over time, and so they are highly specialized in their niche, and that makes them more vulnerable to extinction when their natural home is destroyed. More than 1/4 of the world's prescription drugs are extracted from plants growing in these tropical forests. The National Cancer Research Institute has identified 3,000 plants having cancer-fighting chemicals. Neem tree is also an example of the Silent Valley in Kerala is the only place in India where tropical rainforest occurs. So this is about the global biodiversity, and we have number of species. Now biodiversity is also present at national level. So if we come to national level, that is the Indian biodiversity. India ranks 10th among the plant-rich countries of the world, and the total number of living species identified in a country are 1,50,000, and now it has all the more increased. Then we have the regional biodiversity. At regional level, it is better understood by categorizing species into 4 types. This is point richness, that is the number of species found at a single point in a given space. The alpha richness, which refers to number of species found in a small homogeneous area. The beta richness, which refers to rate of change in species composition across different habitats. And the gamma richness, which refers to rate of change across large landscape gradients. So therefore, India is a mega diversity nation. Now we have endemic, that means species which are restricted only to a particular area are known as endemic. Now India shows good number of endemic species. There are also hotspots. Now what are hotspots? Those areas which exhibit high species richness as well as high species endemism are termed as hotspots of biodiversity. That means there are high species of present in a particular area. So an example of these can be seen as hotspots. They are present in the Western Amazon, Madagascar, Northeast Borneo, Northeastern Australia, West Africa, etc. So these are high diversity endemism, where the human activities have threatened the plants of these areas. Now we shall discuss some other eastern Himalayas. We have the parasitic angiosperm Sapria himalayan. It is a hot spot of that plant. Then in Western Ghats also we have different plants like they are the rhododendron and hypericum. These are the plants. Then the birds are fairy bluebird, lizard hawk, etc. They are the hotspots for these animals and plants. Now, what are the threats to biodiversity? So, threats to biodiversity will have, since we are all observing the extinction of so many species, so we have to consider the threats. First is loss of habitat. The natural forest, billions of hectares of forest, grasslands have been cleared and converted into agriculture land, pastures, development projects, etc. The natural forest and the grassland, which are home to thousands of species, have perished due to the loss of their habitat. So the damage which has been caused is thinking a process. The unique rich biodiversity of these areas are at threat. So loss of habitat is a major. Some of the large cats, bears, they breed in the interiors of the forest. But since the habitat is being lost, these animals are also being destroyed. The marine diversity is also at a loss. So now, second is poaching. Now, poaching is the illegal trade of wildlife products. So there is a threat to wildlife because when there is endangered species are being used, like smuggling of wildlife items like fur, hide, horn, tusk, live specimen, herbal products. So they are all smuggled from the rich biodiversity to the rich countries like Europe and North America. Then we have man and wildlife conflicts. So there has been, it is very difficult for forest department to control these. What happens, the villagers, they are entering the forest and clearing the areas. And in turn, the wildlife is attacking on the villagers because their natural habitat is destroyed. So we have a conflict between man and wildlife. In Sambalpur, Odisha, 195 human beings were killed in 5 years by elephants. So in retaliation, the villagers also killed 98 elephants. Now this is a very sad conflict occurring. Now we also have these elephants, they uh, attack the farmers' cotton and sugarcane crops. In return, the villagers electrocute the elephants and sometimes hide explosives in sugarcane fields. So this kills the elephants. Recently, we have read in the news how an elephant was fed with a pineapple filled with crackers. So this was done, it is said it was done by mistake as this cracker filled pineapple was kept for the wild boar. So here you can see a live example taken is how the man and wildlife are interacting with each other and killing each other. Now in the national parks also, where the tourists come, there are many incidents seen where the wild animals are attacking the tourists. So the main root cause of these man and animal conflict is the dwindling habitats of tigers, elephants, bears, which compels them to move outside the forest and attack the human beings. The ill, weak, and injured animals have a tendency to attack man, and the forest department cultivates paddy, sugarcane within the sanctuaries, which is the staple diet of elephants, and the bamboo leaves are not available, so they move out of the forest in search of food. So very often villagers put electric wiring over their crops and the elephants get injured and suffer in pain. So these are some of the man and wildlife conflicts. Now, what are the remedial measures to curb these conflicts? So recently, some years back, about 2 decades back, the tiger conservation project was made, and it was made by available vehicles, tranquilizing guns, binoculars, radio sets to tackle any danger with tigers. Adequate crop compensation and cattle compensation scheme was started as a compensation for the loss due to these animals. Solar powered fencing was provided to prevent animals from straying into the field. Cropping patterns were changed around the forest border areas so that the available food, fodder, and water was there for the animals within the forest zone. Wildlife corridors were provided for mass migration of big animals, and sanctuaries in which there was the local people were denied and prevented from burning the forest for to flush out animals and to cultivate their plants. Now we have some endangered species in India. The International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources have published the Red Data book, in which we will be studying in detail about this in the next few coming lectures. What is Red Data book and what are the steps or measures taken for conservation of biodiversity. So students, I hope you have found my lecture interesting. If you have any query, please write in the comment box. I will resolve it soon. This digital session was powered by 2.0 version of JAYOTI VIDYAPEETH-Women's University. Thank you and namaste.